Well, good morning again. We're out here at our little piece of land, and I did finally get my tractor running. It ended up being a bad coil. I changed the condenser and it didn't make any difference. I went through the carburetor. So bottom line, after kind of checking all my voltages and my wires and all that, it ended up being a faulty coil. So I do have it running. I did move cows into this little area here where I have some buildings. I figure I might as well let them mow the grass as me. So since I got my tractor running, I figured the goal today is to go down and build a brace next to the cattle guard where the road goes through. So I'll get this fired up and go grab some ties, and I got to put the post hole auger on. Year to year, got to remember how this goes together again. Oh, I think we go here. I've used this hole quite a bit, so I think I'm going to move up a hole. I may have to take this to the shop and reinforce that or build it back up. I'll have to lift this up. I can put the auger on. When I store it, I put these little prop legs underneath it to keep it from tipping over. Need a few odds and ends, shovel, tampon bore. I run a level, make sure my posts are square, and a tape measure. And almost forgot, I need a post hole digger, and a jug of water, and I usually have a chain out here, but I guess I left it in my pickup, so I got some scrap pieces of rope. I use the loader to pick up these ties to put them in the hole. So I'm going to come out from the tie on the cattle guard, line up with the fence that I have online across the road, and come out 20 feet. I got a couple of flags here, and I'm going to come from that. Generally we'll have a somewhere around an 8-foot brace that goes between the two posts. So I actually like to do it just a fuzz shy of that. If I dig my hole at 8 feet, My tie is going to be 3-4 inches in on both sides, so I should end up with about a 7.5 foot space between my two posts, so I can take an 8-foot post and trim it to where it fits correctly between the two. So I think this is about where I want to be. Got my flag off to the side right here, and kind of pretty straight up and down. Turn my auger up a bit. Now we'll come back and stick one just right beside this flag here. Well, the auger's done the hard work. Got all the loose dirt that didn't come out with the auger. Generally end up with about a 3-foot hole. Well, this worked on the first one. I forgot my chain. I didn't know if this rope would work or not, but it seems to. We'll get the second one put in. Where you need that second pair of hands, huh? That'll work. I get this kind of squared up with the fence line. Make sure we're plumb. Gonna be in there pretty close. I'll start tamping from the bottom up. The bottom is pretty important to get it tamped tight before you put a lot of fill in. I usually come up about 2 inches at a time, tamping each section at a time. When I tamp around the bottom, that'll still allow me to do a little bit of adjusting to where I get it square. By the time I'm 4 to 6 inches up, she's pretty well set in place. Well, there's several factors that kind of work into whether a brace is solid or not. And this is one of them, that the bottom is tamped well. Not too much too fast. Check my plumb. Out there, about there. Pretty close right there. Check one more time. I'm good that way. You stand up about right there. Firm that up on the face here. Nice thing about building fence in the springtime, especially when you're setting corner braces, moisture in the ground is a big difference. We're good there. So just a couple inches at a time. You know, this is one of those personal difference deals. I like this tampon bar because it has a fairly small head, inch and a quarter. Some of these tampon bars, spud bars, it's called different things. I'll have a big round button on the end, and it seems like maybe it would tamp faster, but it's tough to get into small places along the side of these ties. I drilled a 12-inch hole, but this tie kitty corner is probably 12 inches or close to it, so it's not a lot of room down along the side. And the smaller the head, the more compact it will actually pack that soil around the base of these posts. It started out at 50 degrees this morning when I came out. Cows were out, they'd pushed down a little section of fence. Put them in, I didn't get quite as early a start as I had figured. We're supposed to be about 85 or so today. We're warming up, we gotta be just guessing 70s. Pretty calm, pretty nice day. Yeah, I think that'll work. I'll go back to the place and I'll get a cross brace, some wire, finish this out. Well, for me, when I'm out hanging wire, my top strand is usually right at my hip bone, which is about 44 inches. Right in there pretty close. 43, 44. So I'm gonna come up a couple inches higher than that, where I would put the bottom of my brace. And I've got a couple saddles that I make out of 2x4s, because I use, in this case, I'm going to use round poles that are 4-inch. So I'm going to set this in at about that 46-inch area. This is fairly short pieces of wood, and I'm going to kind of be out here a little close to the ends. Just gonna pre-drill these. Almost there. So if I just measure from the ground up on both, the top rail is going to actually kind of follow the contour of the ground. Some people like to put a level on them and make them all level. And that's what my neighbor likes to do. But I like it to follow the slope of the land. And you'll see a lot of places where they'll take a saw or an axe and they'll notch a spot in here. But a lot of these old ties are oak and maple and they're really hard. We got some fir ones out here. But this just seems like it's a lot easier for me. It still gives a good solid shelf. I just gotta pin this in place. And it requires no staples at all. It'll sit right in this notch, and I'll put another one over here. That wire will come right across here, and we'll do this same type of a notch on the base of that post. So the push will come this direction, and the pull will go down to that base of that post, and that triangle is what gives strength to a brace. So me personally, I like a smooth wire for this. You can use a number 9 fencing wire. I usually keep a roll of barbless around. I like to make the top wire and gates out of this, and I like it using it for this brace wire. And just hold it in place there. Just kind of in there. And it seems kind of loose, but here's where we'll tension it up. Sure, all my corners are pretty well set. And sometimes I'll just stick a nail here, not through the board, just as kind of a stop so something rubbing on it doesn't knock it loose. Well, that's kind of my simple way of putting in an end brace or a corner brace. It's been a pretty pleasant day. The wind started out of the south this morning and it has shifted around to where it's kind of coming out of the north now. Appreciate you following along. It's kind of fun to be out here.